Welcome to the Edit to the Brush. This morning, what we're going to do is we're going to finish off the gold trim on the vehicle. And what I want to use to start with is a little bit of Incubi darkness thinned down into a glaze or a wash. I just want to transform that metallic gold from looking like true gold. A little bit of stickiness going on. I want to change it from looking like gold to making it look like it's verdigris and brass. So what I'm going to do is just run a bit of this Incubi darkness into the recess and then just wash it up. Just try and stain some of the areas that we've already darkened down. This helps build up that recess shade. And I want to do the same for the Aquila and for this top trim. So I'm going to do the top trim first. This is more about trying to stain these bolts. And building up an effective verdigris. Lightly trying to pick over the Aquila, not trying to go too heavy on that. We've got a little bit of pooling that we need to take care of on the ends where it drain, and we can leave that to dry off now. So that bit's done. On the main body of the tank at the moment, we've just got these Aquilas, skull winged ones. So that's that one. Just drizzle a little bit around it. So we're going to come around with this with some lilac oxide afterwards. So that's the darkest recess tone. That'll do for that one. And the last little bit for the moment, I want to hit with this these plates on the top. Once this dries, we will come back in with, I believe it's skull crusher brass. Restore the highlight, and then we'll use some lilac oxide thinned down to pick out some of that recess detail in a way that looks like verdigris. So I'm going to leave that piece standing to dry. So that's pretty much dried off now. So what I'm going to do is take some of my skull crusher brass, and we'll have to give this a good shake, I think. Onto a damp brush, one of my chisel tipped makeup brushes. I'm taking a lot of the paint out, so I want to make sure I don't get too much overspill. And to start with, I'm just going to drag it down the front face of this plate. So I catch the edge at the top and at the bottom, but miss out most of it. I just have to reload the brush a little bit. I want it a little bit thicker. So I'll stipple that at the moment. What I'm trying to do is get a more irregular look to it and make the top edge look sharper, more distinct, because it gets the wear, it won't get the verdigris. So that's the top side of it, or the front side of it. Now just got to try and get some of the top. So I'm putting the brush in and then pulling away. Try and avoid that panel. I've got to do the top and then try and do that Aquila. The Aquila I'm probably going to use a much smaller dry brush. I might just come back at this top edge whilst I've got fresh paint on there. Yeah, happy with that. And these ones, so I'll brush it towards where I've already got metallics. Leave the bits in between darker, so around the bolt looks particularly dark. So now let's switch brushes. Hopefully I can find it. There we go. So old GW small dry brush. Still got some paint on that bit of the table. So again, just bringing it down across it and pulling the brush up. Try not to get past where we're working. There's some minor corrections to do. Just pick out the eagle. That just needs a little bit of a tidy up. Will it cover these as well? No, only more paint. Those ready to have the verdigris, and then the last part that we haven't tackled yet is these brass plates. So I'm just going to run the brush in a circular motion, try and avoid the edge. Need a little bit more pigment. Yeah, there'll be a little little bit of correction work that needs doing, but not a huge amount. That'll do for the throne. And whilst I leave that cure properly, what I was considering doing is giving this an enamel wash, as I want to darken down some of that metal. It's not dark enough as far as I'm concerned. It needs to go darker still, at least on the back section. So I'm mixing up some enamel thinners with some dark brown pigment powder that I've already got. Take one of my larger brushes, give this a good stir around to reactivate it. And this will just help to dull down and give quite a considerable age look to some of these metal parts. Just literally run it on. Spread it about. Make sure I get the top. Some of the imperfections in the detail on the top of this we will erase later on. I hadn't considered sculpting the details or replacing the details as such, because my Krieg regiment is going to be mostly on snowy bases, so I was going to put some snow pigment or pigment material over it. You could use the Games Workshop for Hallam Blizzard to get the effect that I want. So I tend to keep a couple of old brushes just for dishing out enamel thinners. I just like the way they age and make metals look older by far. I tend to add an additional layer of grime and dirt that's very difficult to reproduce with straight acrylics. This is going to be the tricky bit. Try and hold the edge of the plate. The computer at the back. Just make sure I've got all of that plate and the uprights. And the bit that I haven't done so far is this very front bit. Supports. So I would work in a very well ventilated area if I was using this stuff. I've got my windows wide open for knocking this around, so I would at least use it in a very well ventilated space. This stuff is quite toxic. So I'm going to leave that bit to fully dry off now. When we come back, we'll give it some highlighting up, but I think we're more or less there now with this piece. This last little bit. So I'm going to leave that to cure, and we should be back in a while.